Hello friends, in this video we'll study about the organization of the nervous system. First of all, we have a look at this diagram. This shows a human being from the dorsal view. That is, if a person is standing from his back side, then that view is known as dorsal view, and if we study the person from the front side, then it is known as the ventral view. So here we see this is the brain and this is the spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord, they collectively constitute the central nervous system or the CNS. These are all the cranial nerves, and here we see these spinal nerves. These swollen things, they are the ganglia outside the central nervous system. So collectively, these cranial nerves, ganglia outside the CNS, and the spinal nerves, they constitute the peripheral nervous system. Now, let us have a look at the embryology part. The dorsal nerve cord. What is dorsal nerve cord? It is a structure in the chordate embryo which later leads to the development of CNS or the central nervous system. The cavity of this nerve cord, it gives rise to the narrow central canal of the spinal cord as well as the ventricles of the brain, which we will study later. Cerebrospinal fluid or CSF, it fills the canal and the ventricles. Cerebrospinal fluid is formed in the brain by filtering arterial blood. And what is the function of CSF? It is to supply nutrients and hormones to the CNS. It also carries away wastes and finally drains it into the veins. Now, this is a section of human brain. The brain and spinal cord have gray and white matter. We see here in this diagram, this dark part is known as the gray matter, and this light colored part is known as the white matter. The central part known as ventricles. So this gray matter, it contains all the neurons, cell bodies, while this white matter, it contains the bundled axons. In spinal cord, this is the section of a spinal cord. White matter forms outer layer. So it's opposite of the brain. This is the white matter. It is on the outside. And hence links to the CNS to sensory and motor neurons of the peripheral nervous system. Because as we know, the white matter contains all the bundled axons. And they will link the CNS to sensory and motor neurons of the peripheral nervous system. In the brain, the white matter is in the interior where it signals between neurons, functions in learning, feeling emotions, processing sensory information, and generating command. Now, what is a reflex arc and what is a reflex action? The spinal cord, it conveys information to and from the brain and generates basic patterns of locomotion. It also helps the body to generate automatic responses to certain stimuli. These automatic responses are known as reflexes or reflex actions. Some of the reflex actions, if we take an example of the knee jerk, this shows the diagram of a human thigh, knee and the leg part. And here, this part is being tapped by a hammer. This is the quadriceps muscle and this is the hamstring muscle. Okay, and here we see that this part, this part is the motor neuron. They convey signals to the quadriceps. This is the quadriceps muscle, causing it to contract and jerking the lower leg forward in response to the stimulus which was given here. And how the stimulus is carried to the spinal cord? See, the sensors detect the sudden stretch in the quadriceps. These are the sensors. When we tap it from here, they detect the sudden stretch in the quadriceps. Then sensory neurons, they convey information to the spinal cord. Okay, this is the cell body of the dorsal root ganglion. This is the interneuron. This part is the interneuron. And then the motor neurons convey signals to quadriceps. And then it will contract. And here, this is a motor neuron leading to the hamstring muscle. These are the hamstring muscles. They are inhibited by the interneurons. This is the interneuron, and preventing the contraction of hamstrings. So only the quadriceps is contracting. This hamstring will not contract. So the opposite action will not take place. Only the knee jerk will occur, and this ankle part, this will go up. This is known as a knee jerk, and this is how the spinal cord causes this reflex action. Okay. Now we have a look at the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system plays an important role in regulating an animal's movement and its internal environment. Sensory or afferent neurons. Sensory neurons are known as afferent. They carry information to the CNS. This information processing takes place. Then the instructions will travel to the muscles, glands, and endocrine cells along the peripheral nervous system. Neurons, which are known as efferent, those who will bring back the information are known as efferent. Those who carry the information are known as the afferent neurons. See, have a look at this. This internal and the external stimuli. Sensory receptors, they will carry, the information is carried by the afferent neurons, go to the CNS where the information processing takes place, and the part showed in this gray box is the peripheral nervous system. And via the afferent neurons, this information will go, and there are two parts, autonomic nervous system and the motor systems. Autonomic nervous system has sympathetic division, a parasympathetic division, and also has a enteric part, enteric nervous system. All these, what they do, control of smooth muscles and cardiac muscles and glands, while the motor system, it will do the control of the skeletal muscles. Okay. Most nerves are actually bundles of both afferent and efferent neurons. So the peripheral nervous system efferent components are motor and autonomic nervous system. The motor system, these neurons carry signals to the skeletal muscles. This type of motor control can be voluntary or it can be involuntary. Voluntary, the example is like sometimes we raise a hand when some question is asked to us, and the involuntary is, for example, the knee jerk. This is an involuntary response. While the autonomic nervous system, it will control only involuntary activities. Its sympathetic and parasympathetic components regulate the cerebrovascular system, excretory, and endocrine system. Then the enteric system, it consists of a network of neurons which exert direct and partially independent control over the digestive tract, pancreas, and the gallbladder. So this was all about the structural organization of the nervous system. Thank you. Thank you for watching the video.